Hello, hello, family. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you're doing well. I just wanted to drop in for a minute and share some information with you and see if anyone has any thoughts or comments on this. I was at church today and I was seated on one of the one of the pews towards the front. And I was seated on the end and the sermon had already started and there was a lady and uh, children, maybe two or three children with her that came in. The ushers had ushered her down to my pew, and so I was the only one on my pew. So I saw her coming with the children behind her. So I just moved on down and further down the pew so they could all come in and be seated on the church pew. And I recognized her. She's pretty faithful, and we usually sit up front, like on one of the front pews. And so she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you move." And I'm like, "Oh, no, no problem, no worries at all. I don't mind moving over to make room for other people to come and have a seat in the Lord's house and hear the good word." And she was so apologetic. Yeah, I think she apologized twice, maybe two or three times. Like, I didn't mean to move. I was going like, "Oh no, no worries at all. Trust me, I don't mind." You know, and and so we, went on and heard the good word, and we exchanged, words again. We were, agreeing with the message, and it was a great sermon, by the way, absolutely wonderful sermon, great message today, powerful message, powerful delivery, by uh, the brother Josh Hanyard at Hampton Avenue Church of Christ. So just wonderful message, and so after the church service was over, she apologized again, like, "I didn't mean to make you move." I'm like, what are you I'm saying this to myself, like, what are you talking about? I don't mind moving, moving down on the church pew to let someone else come in and have a seat. And I think that, it kind of occurred to me, I think that many times, and I've seen it, in these churches where, people are so set in their spaces at the church, especially if they've been there for a long time. Like you have your senior members or people who have been there for, umpteen years, as we would say, they've been there for, I don't know, maybe 4 years. And so, they always sit in this spot. It's like, well, this is where sister so and so always sits, or brother so and so always sits here, and I get it, because I was when I was a child coming up in the church, I my mom always had a spot that she always sat in, and so that was her spot. Certain church members have their seats where they always sit, and you're gonna always see them in one of their seats. And then sometimes when newer members come in, they don't know this, because if I'm a new person at this church, I don't know like the layout or the rules, the written rules, unwritten rules, spoken, unspoken. You don't know all that as a new person. You're just coming in here to hear the word and to find your way, find your space, find where you can fit in. You don't know what's been going on. You don't know the history of where everybody always sits, and this person always sits here, and that person always sits there, and or you're encroaching upon this space. Well, number one, the other thought is that, well, are there names on these seats? No one has a name or a claim to this seat, But then you have these unwritten rules where, well, she's been here for 50 years and she's always sat in that space. You don't know that as a new person. You're just coming in. Maybe you're trying to get your soul saved. You're trying to hear the word. You're trying to get indoctrinated in the word, and hear what the good Lord has to say and the good message for the day. So I think that sometimes in the churches we get so caught up on things that don't really matter. Seating, who's sitting where, and, oh, this person's sitting in my seat. Well, I always sit there. Or even with the parking spaces, well, I always park there. And a new person doesn't know that. They don't know, well, there's no name on the parking space. They're not a sign. You're trying to come in and park your vehicle on the lot and go to the church. You're just trying to come in and have a seat wherever you can sit. If you find a space that's comfortable, maybe where you can hear the preacher, you can see the board or whatever. A person might have some challenges with seeing the board if they have the screens at the front of the church or whatever the case may be. So sometimes I think we kind of get caught up on this, and because I was just kind of wondering, like, why does she I don't care about that. I don't mind moving down. I mean, it's no big deal. We got to make room. And so I just thought about it, like, and I've seen these things, discrepancies in the church before, where people don't want to move, and a lot of times people won't move. They'll let someone walk over them rather than move or scoot down. It's like they're stuck in that spot. They don't want to move. Um, and I thought, well, and I remember my uh, minister used to say this long time ago. My former minister that passed away, God rest his soul, Dr. Evans, Brother Evans, the late great Dr. Evans. He used to say, if we can't sit together here on earth and worship and serve the Lord, if we can't sit together in church on earth, how are we going to fellowship with the saints in heaven? How are we going to rejoice with the Lord in the afterlife once we leave here? If we have problems with sitting next to each other and not in our space of comfort and not getting out of that comfort zone. And so that just kind of occurred to me. So I just kind of wanted to open up the chat to see if anyone has experienced that. What are your thoughts on that? Because it's so true. I mean, if we have issues with how we're conducting ourselves and sitting in the church pews, and how can we truly call ourselves Christians? How can we be Christians and we can't even sit one next to one another in the church on the pews comfortably? We don't want to get up and move down or move over and let someone else sit next to us. Does that make any sense? Does that sound right? Am I saying it right? What talk to me, family. Talk to me, fam. What's really going on? What's the dealio? Because that kind of bothered me a little bit. Like, why would she keep apologizing? Because I really don't care. I just, come on in here. We're all family. We're all brothers and sisters in the Lord, and we're here to hear the good word. And here it is. So, I don't mind moving down, but I think people are, and sometimes they really don't know. And I probably would have done the same thing, like, oh, I didn't mean to make you move, but it's really no big deal. I could care less, but maybe some people do care about that, and they don't. And you can tell, like, when you walk into a church and maybe, you know, all the pews are full, and so you got to go to this one pew where you see a couple of spots, and you're going to try to squeeze in there, and you just want to squeeze by somebody, and you don't want to make anybody get up. You don't want to inconvenience anyone. So I would probably be the same way. Like, I don't want to make this person get up. I'm just going to squeeze on by them, and take that little seat over there. And here they are getting up, moving all the way. I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to make you do that. They're like, oh, that's okay, no problem. But we should feel comfortable, with when we walk into our church house. If it's a true house of the Lord, you should feel comfortable. Because if you don't feel comfortable in that space, then why are you there? Right? Because we have so much to deal with out here in the world. Like, once you leave the confines of that church building, that church house, and you go out here in the world, it's a constant battle, right? We're battling not only against flesh and blood, but against principalities and wickedness and evilness in high places, right? We're battling. It's a war zone out here. And so when you come into the house of the Lord and you come into the sanctuary, that should be a safe place, a safe haven for you, where you should feel comfortable. You should feel love. You should feel like you don't have to fight with anyone. You don't have to have a battle with anyone in your own home, in your own church house. It's like when you go home, you should feel comfortable and safe. You shouldn't have to worry about your safety. You shouldn't have to worry about your mental, physical, emotional safety and stability. You should feel it should be a safe haven, a place of comfort. And the same thing as at church. When you go to church, you should feel safe. You should feel comfortable. You shouldn't feel at ease. I mean, that's just my opinion. Because if you go into a church house, it's supposed to be your church home, and you don't feel comfortable. You don't feel the love. You don't feel uh, like this is the right place for you. Then why are you there? Why are you there? And unfortunately, I think we lose a lot of people. I think people feel displaced, and that was part of the message today. It was a great message, but it was part of the message today where um, brother Joshua, brother Josh, for short, talked about the topic of the gift of peace. Emanating from the book of John, chapter 14, verses 27 through 29, and how you can stay in a place too long. You can stay in a place of sin too long and lose your way. But we got to get back to that place of peace, that place of comfort. And I think in the church house, you should feel comfortable. You should feel safe. It should be a place of refuge and protection. You should feel shielded and protected from the world and the things that are in the world, because we are in the world but not of the world. And so if we're coming to church and we're not feeling comfortable even sitting next to each other, you don't feel comfortable sitting next to your brothers and sisters in Christ. That's a real problem, folks, right? What? Otherwise, why would you go to church? You might as well just stay home or go somewhere else where you can feel comfortable, where you can feel love. Like these people, they really care for me. They have love. They show love. They want to love on. They want to love on you. They want to, guide you and help you, assist you, give you the spiritual nourishment and nurturing that you need, regardless of what level you're on in your spirituality. You may be at a beginning level, you may be at an intermediary level, or you may be advanced. Regardless of what level you're at, we're here to serve a purpose, one mind, one vision. We're here to serve the Lord, to serve God, and to worship and to do His will according to His purpose, according to His will. So, again, if we can't sit together in the house of the Lord, we're going to come together in heaven. How are we going to rejoice with the saints in heaven and with God, where heaven is eternal? And we can't even get it together here on earth for a few minutes or a couple of hours on Sunday, one day a week for a couple of hours, and we can't even get it together and get that right once a week for a couple of hours. Come on, people, what's going on? What's really going on? We got to get it together in these churches. We can't come here and play church, because that's not for play. That's not for play. We can't play church. We need to get it together, folks, because you only got one go around, right? Only one go around, one time to get it right. And God has extended us His grace and mercy, Amen. And so we really need to do better. And I'm a victim of that. I start with myself. I look in the mirror and ask God, how can I do better? What can I do to do better? Because we all fall short of the glory, Amen. Amen. Somebody, we all fall short of the glory. So that was on my mind today, as I enjoyed this as one in unison and comfortable. And there has to be a level of confidence and just make our brothers and sisters feel comfortable in churches. Because again, if you don't feel comfortable, if you don't feel safe in the Lord's house, then why are you there? Why keep coming? Why come? If there's no level of comfort, you don't feel the love, you don't feel the safety and the security that you're supposed to feel in the Lord's house. You're supposed to feel love. You're supposed to feel comfort. It's supposed to be a place of um, God's love. You're supposed to feel godly love. And if you don't get that there, then what is the point? Well, that's all I have. I just want to share that with you. And thank you so much for listening and tuning in. I hope and pray that this will bless somebody. I don't know who this is for, but I'm hoping and praying that this will on, because we all need prayer. We all need to be strengthened, and we must continue to pray for one another. Thank you so much, and God bless.